Last weekend was very eventful with being the Brazilian Grand Prix, and I'm going to switch it up a bit. I'm going to be presenting you and talking about everything which has happened in more chronologic order. So let's start with what happened at the start of the week, which was, if we look here, Hamilton got his, He got his, He got this honorary citizenship. So now he's a he's a Brazilian citizen. And I think he accidentally posted on Twitter some, something on Spanish. But I think he quite quickly noticed that that was incorrect and that he posted in the wrong language. But then we come further, and as it was a sprint race weekend, first practice, all the people tried to go out. It was, it was not wet, which was in qualifying, but it was quite dry. And then, as I said, we go to qualifying. Q1, Q2 weren't that shocking, except maybe a few drivers going up, like from the lower ranks, coming up quite high. But something which was very shocking in Q3 was who got pole, which was Kevin Magnussen. And as you can see here, meme, a hair sandwich. You have the entire grid. Magnussen started P1, Schumacher P20, and I think there was like Schumacher had a incorrect strategy, or they did something weird with him. But I would still say that it was very good on Magnussen, and he could have lost pole position, but George Russell binned it and beached himself in the gravel at the end of turn 4, he tried to avoid the barriers, which brought out the red flag, and nobody went out, because of the rain, and and Kevin Magnussen got his pole position. But something interesting which happened before was Ferrari being typical Ferrari. Everybody weren't softs, but am I the only car on Inters? Says Leclerc. Yes, he was. It's interesting how Ferrari can still screw up and never learn about these things, and even at the same time they put Sainz on softs and Leclerc on intermediates, which, if Leclerc was like the main driver, which I think he is, they should probably put the tire they're most confident in on him, which was the intermediates, which is a bit odd. But there are rumors floating around that Mattia Binotto might get kicked. So that will be interesting. Before we get further into the video, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button to get similar content with similar amount of interesting comments on incidents which have happened in Formula 1 or in all motorsport. So please subscribe and hit the like button, but let's get back to the video. Then we go to Saturday, where practice is practice as usual, so nothing happened. But then we get into the sprint qualifying, and Kevin Magnussen kept his pole. Verstappen, I believe, had a reasonable start, but he got overtaken by the guy in P3, George Russell. And not a lot of incidents happened, quite clear, but one of the main things was this. Vettel commenting okay to what happened with Lance Stroll. And obviously, I can't show you content from from F1 because they will block this video, but let me describe it for you. So they were on the straight right after the Senna SS. They were going, Vettel was right behind him, trying to overtake on this direction, on his left, but then Lance Stroll pushed him, so Vettel had to take 2 tires onto the grass, which is obviously not what you want to do with your teammates. So Vettel replied, okay. Which, in my opinion, obviously isn't good that he did it, because you don't want to push people off the track, and obviously you're not your teammate at this. Goes back to what happened with Alonso in the circuit of the Americas, where in my opinion, was a bit of a racing incident, because right on that same lap, after the straight on the left-hander, Ocon pushed Alonso off the circuit onto the curbs, which meant Alonso got a lower traction, which made him spin and hit his front wing into Ocon's side pod, which after the race led to Ocon's engine burning. But Alonso got some damage of it, and yeah, he got some damage but on his front wing, but that wasn't due to that incident. It was to him going too close to Ocon, trying to go to his right, doing that a bit too late. And that's why I believe that Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso's incident from Circuit of the Americas, from the American Grand Prix, was a racing incident, because examples here, both of them got penalties for what they did, or they were sort of penalized. So I think that shows there was a bit of a racing incident. But something else which happened was also this. Russell, in his prime snitching area, your honor, he went over the track limits at turn 4. I believe this happened in the sprint race. Don't fully remember, but what I mean by this is that Russell is becoming a bit like Hamilton in snitching on other drivers for going over track limits. So Russell was doing that with Verstappen because he was behind Verstappen. But then Verstappen, was quite slow because Russell overtook him after a few laps, maybe. So maybe not at the start, as I said. But then he had an incident with Sainz, which, of Verstappen's own fault, broke his front wing, which led to him being very slow. And that led to him slipping down the field very quickly. Or not very quickly, but he slipped down the field. And also, when we speak about Alonso, you have high-risk jobs. You have Kim Jong-un here. We shouldn't talk about North Korea because they are who they are. And you have Alonso here overlooking the operation. And Alonso obviously is a bit stingy with things. But that's mainly what happened in qualifying, in the sprint race. Then we get to the main race, and something which we have to talk about before the sprint race, going into the into the main race, you had you had George Russell in first, Carlos Sainz second, and Lewis Hamilton third, with Max Verstappen being fourth. He was behind by 6 seconds behind behind Hamilton. And at the start, George Russell went quite quickly, and they all they overtook each other and did no they did no harm, except so at the at the start, not a lot of things happened until going into the third and final sector. You had Ricciardo and Kevin Magnussen hitting each other. So I think Ricciardo hit Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen spun a bit, went onto the circuit again and hit Daniel Ricciardo. And both retired with the safety car happening. And they also showed replays of what happened with Leclerc. And what happened with him was that he went into an incident with Lando Norris trying to overtake him. Lando Norris trying to push, but got a bit of understeer, didn't have enough grip, and hit him through turn 5 or 6 at the end of Sector 1, I would believe. Which, both incidents I would say are the McLaren's fault, and I don't know if Daniel Ricciardo has gotten anything, but Lando Norris got a 5-second time penalty for what he did. But something else which happened, which also led to a 5-second time penalty, was this. Hamilton and Verstappen. So what happened was that through the first corner, Verstappen dive bombed on the outside of the corner and went past Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton was on the racing line, but then Lewis Hamilton cut back and pushed and gave Verstappen not so much space. And what replay showed of what happened in the sprint race was the exact same thing, but it was, I believe, Russell was here in Verstappen's spot, and Lewis Hamilton was separated by Red Bull, I think, Verstappen. But Russell obviously backed out and still was quite close. But obviously Verstappen is Verstappen, as Hamilton said, and he didn't care and crashed into him. So Verstappen got a 5-second time penalty and damage to its front wing, so they had to pit, and Hamilton fell down to 8th. And afterwards, Verstappen, he admitted to have done it. So, and no, he admitted to knowing that they would both crash, but didn't care because Verstappen's already won everything he can. He has won the World Championship. Red Bull have won the World Constructors Championship. And he just said Hamilton will lose more. He will probably then lose the race, which he did to Russell. Good on Russell. So yeah, he basically admitted to doing it. Which was not the biggest thing which happened with Verstappen during that day. And this is just not a lot of big incidents happened in the Interlagos race. You had obviously a lot of fighting. You had Hamilton coming up again, a lot of pitting, trying to fight. You had Verstappen coming up and Leclerc coming up after both their incidents. You had Lando Norris retiring on lap 50, I believe, taking out the safety car very late, which I feel like it was very odd because he retired in the same spot as Ricciardo and Magnussen. But then we get to at the absolute end of the race, you had Leclerc asking Sainz if they can switch spots. Ferrari say no because Leclerc was too close to Alonso behind, so they couldn't change, and it was for a podium. So that's what Jolyon Palmer said. But then we come into Red Bull. Perez is obviously fighting with Leclerc, and let me just tell you, Red Bull did want to switch spots. Verstappen said, okay, I can go back and give Perez the position. Then, at the end of the race, they tell him, Verstappen don't care. Then Red Bull asked, what happened? Why didn't you do it? And Verstappen I told you, you never do that again with me. I've told you I have my reasons. Don't ever ask me to do that again. Feeling quite entitled, and this meme, in my opinion, shows it very well. Max, let Checo through, please. No. We'll come into the reason in a little bit. But then you have an example here. Alfa Romeo, what happened in the race? Bottas, was behind Zhou, who was behind Latifi. And Bottas told his crew, his race engineer, that Latifi is braking early into turn 10, tell Zhou to attack him there. So giving, comments, which I feel like is what a teammate should do. But that's not what Verstappen thinks. And here are another examples. You have goats repay the favor. So you have Schumacher giving Rubens Barrichello the win, which I think is after what happened in Austria maybe that year. I'm not a historian, but I think it was Rubens Barrichello gave Schumacher the win in Red Bull Ring, and then he switched the favor with Rubens switched the favor in in Indianapolis, it looks like. But then you also have Hamilton giving back the position to Bottas, and this was in 2017 during the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hamilton asked the team, Hamilton thinks was faster than Bottas, so he was trying to attack the Ferraris. So they said okay, and Bottas obviously switched. And Hamilton said, if I'm not quicker, I'll give back the position to Bottas. And what did he do at the end of the race? Well, through the last corner of the race, he gave back the position to Bottas, which was for a podium. And Hamilton was in the title fight. So this is why I feel like that Jolyon Palmer's comments on it for being a podium doesn't make any sense. Because that's what happened with Hamilton did during a title fight. And all you can see here, let's take a break from all the drama to appreciate the guy who's always got his teammates back, Valtteri Bottas. And that's what I'm saying. You don't have to be a big, I'm not going to say douchebag, but you don't have to be rude to be a world champion. And that's exactly what Susie Wolf said. To be a world champion, you don't have to be a poo hole. You can understand what I mean there. I just want to be a bit more PG. But yeah, so that was a bit interesting. But then we get to post-race, call things about it. And you have Max being like, Verstappen banning Sky Sports for being disrespectful. I don't accept it. And Perez. But what was interesting was that they are qualifying, press clips coming out of him actually speaking to Sky Sports. Which feels like, how quick was that? Was their thing? I don't know. But I now remember that Sky Sports had a talk with them, so I don't know what will happen there. But then you have Verstappen on PK banned for being racist, and why he commented on that is because his girlfriend, I believe, I don't think they're wife and husband, I think his girlfriend, Kelly PK, is Nelson PK's daughter. And what they said was, I think it's better to open a conversation instead of banning people, because when you ban people, then you're actually not even helping the situation. You have to communicate, which is a bit contradicting. But in my opinion, that's a lot of Verstappen's comments sometimes. And here we have here we have the reason for why reportedly Verstappen not giving back the position. In Monaco, Checo pointed and told me that okay, so this is just a bit funny, because what actually happened in Monaco was that was actually due to reportedly Sergio Perez, crashing intentionally, causing a red flag in Monaco Q3 to start ahead of Verstappen, which is debatable, but looking at telemetry and looking at the onboard cameras, it looks very sus about what happened there. But I'm gonna let you speak for yourself. But then we have this, I don't know if this is true or not, just disclosing that, but apparently Kelly sympathizes with Checo, saying Max has never been good at repaying the favor. It's a really shame, hey, but you have to be selfish to become world champion, right? I don't know if this is true. He always insists something, but I think this is a joke. But yeah, it's a bit weird, everything which is happening in the Red Bull stall, and even certain Red Bull fans are are sympathizing with Checo, and I mean then Verstappen fans. And this is what battle for second place in World Drivers' Championship. You have Leclerc, and Verstappen. Leclerc, they have Sergio Perez, Peter with Binotto, huh? Yeah, because Binotto, obviously. But yeah, this is a very funny, picture. But now, obviously, we're coming into the last race of the season. And this is, in my opinion, what we should do. Seb should be the driver of the day in Abu Dhabi. And I agree with that. But now we are done with my little storytelling of what happened in the Brazilian Grand Prix. So tell me, what you liked about it in the comments down below if you're still watching. My next video will be a similar type of video, hopefully, on the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But then afterwards we'll see what happens. I will probably do new type of content which I haven't seen before, try to bring back older type of content which was successful. Then you have, yes, reviews, and I will also review my predictions for 2022, which I did at the start of this year. But also, yeah, I will maybe, because I've seen this in football, maybe see what other people predicted and make a score sheet of different creators and how they did. But if you're still watching, comment down below what you think. If you want, comment just any type of content you want. I'll see if I can do it or not. So comment down below. Whilst you're there, let me remind you again, subscribe and hit the like button if you like this content and you want more of it. But until then, I've been Racing Legend, you've been my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching. Good.